What's up, motocross action? I'm Josh Mosman, and we're here in Union, South Carolina at Randy Hawkins' facility, getting ready to ride some off-road on the new 2020 YZ250FX. So we're here, there's some really cool GNCC loops, and we're here to go check it out. So Yamaha has a wide range of bikes. So the 2020 Yamaha YZ250FX is based off of the 250F model, but it has a few different things that are changed for off-road riding, and also a few different things that have been added to this bike. So what are the changes? Well, let's dive into them. So the ECU has been updated on this one. It has two maps, and so on the YZF model, they have two maps, but they're exactly the same when you get your bike stock, and you have to adjust them in the Power Tuner app. Where this one comes from the dealer showroom floor with two specific maps. So the first map is more of a stock, regular map, while the second map is much more mellow and smoother and just a lot easier to roll on in tighter sections. And that is the great part about it too, is you can change it on the fly. So while you're riding, come into a slick spot or a tight section of the track, boom, click it into the map number 2. It's a lot easier to ride. It has a baffle in the exhaust, so this helps lower the sound and also get more grunt on the low end. Another cool thing about the maps is the Yamaha Power Tuner app, and this connects straight to your bike on any smartphone. You can download the app for free, and then you can adjust your bike. So the bike actually has a wide range of adjustment and change it up quite a bit to tailor your riding style and the specific track that you're at. But talking to the Yamaha guys, they know a lot of consumers are worried, oh, I don't want to mess with the Power Tuner app because I don't want to mess up my bike and blow it up. Well, that's not a case. These guys promised us that there's safety regulations and things built into the app so that you won't be able to mess up your bike. A couple other updates: they brought the electric starter motor to the back of the engine instead of the front, just to help centralize mass. They also updated the engine mounts. So these new mounts have the same material as the regular 250F. It's really the front main engine bracket is what they changed. The engine mount for the 250FX has a different shape, and it actually has a new plate that's been tack welded on. So the new engine mounts actually add rigidity to the bike, while the suspension has been changed. So the forks went one spring rate softer from a 4.7 to a 4.6, while the shock has the same spring rate, but the valving in the front and the rear has been completely softened. So the softer suspension is really meant to work better going over roots and rocks. The motocross models, they'll deflect real hard when they take them over roots here, like we're gonna be riding today in South Carolina. So the big change between the YZ250FX and the motocross model is the wide ratio transmission. So the FX model has a 6th gear. The wide ratio transmission increased the overall range by 25% on this bike, and that is a huge gain compared to the motocross model. So riding in 1st gear is actually like adding 7 teeth to the rear sprocket. This makes it much better to ride up and over logs or short hill climbs and just riding in tight technical sections, while that 6th gear that you don't even find on the motocross model is like taking away 10 teeth from the rear sprocket and really just allowing it to go wide open down long straightaways. And it's crazy to see the range that they got out of this new wide ratio transmission. They also worked hard to make sure that the ranges between 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th gear, the gaps between shifting was kept pretty similar to the motocross model. So the clutch on the FX model is much softer than the motocross model. It's actually 20% easier to pull in the clutch. It has softer springs and softer clutch fibers. So another aspect that Yamaha is really proud about this bike is the fuel tank. The fuel tank is 0.6 gallons bigger than the motocross model, and the 2020 model is 0.2 gallons bigger than the 2019 model. So overall, it's a 2.2 gallon tank, and the added fuel capacity is down low. So Yamaha is really stoked on that because it centralizes the mass and helps with bike leaning over in the corners and just being overall a more balanced bike. It's not wider with the bigger tank like it is on some other manufacturers' bikes. They made this bike a little bit skinnier at the radiator shrouds. Your knees can hook into the shrouds a little bit better, and it also has a little thinner, skinnier feel. And it's also the same as the YZ250F motocross model shrouds. It's got the YZ450F filter with the new grommet in it. It's got a lower seat and a lower rear fender. It's got the kickstand and the Dunlop's off-road specific AT81 front and rear tires. It's got a wider rim, and the 18-inch rear wheel allows for a taller sidewall, and this allows for more rubber to flex when you're going over rocks and bumps and just gives you an overall smoother ride. The radiator also has mounting tabs built into it so that you can get the GYTR radiator fan kit, and the ECU is also pre-wired to use the same GYTR fan kit as well. So this makes it so that you can add the fan on easily. It's easy to install, and then when your bike gets to a certain temperature, the fan kicks on and cools it down. Additional updates to this bike: it has an O-ring chain, an updated skid plate that's actually more narrow and more compact, while it also has more protection over the fuel pump. The kickstand was also raised up to increase ground clearance so it doesn't hook going over rocks and logs. And it's also got 2 lights on the dash. It has an engine warning light that tells you if something's going on with the engine. It also has a low fuel level warning light that kicks on when you have a half a gallon of gas left in your tank. So the 2020 YZ250FX retails for $8,499. I'm super excited to go try it out and kind of compare it to the feeling that I have on the motocross model YZ250S. Stay tuned to the end of this video to hear our first impressions on this bike, and watch me go ride over some logs and some roots. And I'm not sure how that's going to go because it's been a while since I've done that, but should be fun. Let's do this thing. Testing is done on the 2020 Yamaha YZ250FX, and it was an awesome time. Believe it or not, I do have some off-road experience, but this is the first time I've ever ridden a purpose-built off-road bike on the trails. I always previously would ride my motocross bike on the trails, and I had motocross suspension set up, which is set up to be stiffer, to hold up in faster speeds, and also coming into corners over bigger bumps and jumps, while the 250FX was purposely built to have softer suspension, to work better on roots, rocks, and the more technical, tighter trails that you find at GNCC races and other off-road riding. I also usually prefer riding a 450 when it comes to motocross tracks. I like riding all bikes on the track, but usually a 450 is my favorite. Today, I think 250 would be the best on these tight, technical trails. I don't want the hard-hitting power of a 450 when it's technical. You're kind of going up and over logs and riding on smaller tracks. This 250 fit the mold perfectly. Also, the maps on this thing are sweet. I really enjoy being able to switch between maps while I'm riding. That makes it much easier for testing. So the Yamaha comes with a stock map, and then also map 2 is more mellow map from the beginning. I like the mellow map when the track's slick and we come into tighter sections. It was much better, but then when you open it up, I wanted it in the stock map, had a little more power. We also dove into the Yamaha Power Tuner app. It was actually super simple to connect the bike up to Wi-Fi, and then also just to install the new maps. The Power Tuner app comes with 4 maps already built into it. One's a high revving, one's a mild map, one's a MX Power Feeling map, and then another is a torquey map. So I had a lot of fun switching between them today. Liked obviously the mild and the torquey maps kind of just for riding through the tighter trees, and then also, you know, the MX Power Feeling and the high revving maps for the more wide open straightaways. So I also enjoyed being able to make custom maps, and a lot of people are scared that they'll mess up their bike with the custom maps, but Yamaha's pre-built their app and the maps on this bike so that you won't be able to cause any damage to your bike. So that's really cool. Overall, a lot of fun on this bike. If you're looking for a cross-country bike to go race at GNCCs, or if you're looking for a bike that's in between that can ride trails and the track, I think this bike is your go-to. First gear on this bike was a lot lower, and that worked out so good for the tight trails. But second, third, fourth, and fifth are all kind of similar to what you'd find on a motocross bike, and then sixth gear obviously is a lot longer than you would find or than you would need on a motocross track. But the good part is the gaps between the gears stay pretty similar to the motocross bike, and that's what would make this bike good for trails and the track. The YZ250FX is considerably more mellow than the motocross version, but that also makes it less intimidating for new riders and also riders jumping up from minis and 125s. It's easy to ride, and it crosses over great for trails and track. So overall, I had a blast on this thing. I really enjoyed the suspension and the power of the Yamaha YZ250FX, and I just want to say thank you so much to Yamaha and Randy Hawkins for having us out here in this awesome facility. Being out in California, we don't get to ride in the trees like this too often, so it was a great time. So thanks again for watching this video. If you want to see more of Motocross Action's latest bike tests and builds, check out motocrossactionmag.com. Also check out our magazine. You can subscribe to it or pick up the latest issue at your local grocery store on the newsstand. And also click subscribe on our YouTube channel just to stay up to date with our latest videos and bike tests.